Hello everyone and welcome. This is Caroline Cooper bringing you first and last impressions really do count. But count towards what? So I've taken the liberty of giving this session a little subtitle, and that is 6 simple ways to get more sales and more repeat business at no additional cost to you. I hope that sounds okay. What I'd also just like to ask your permission with is that we actually get you involved a little bit this afternoon as well. Most of you probably aren't used to sitting on your bottoms all day. So I'd like to kick off by getting you all just to stand up, turn to somebody that you don't already know, and introduce yourself to them. And there are 3 things I'd like you to do. Tell them who you are, tell them what your business is, and also to find out one thing that they'd like to leave here with this afternoon. So off you go. Okay, so I'm guessing here that we have a number of accommodation providers. We probably have a number of restaurants. We may be having, who here is from the licensed trade? There may be suppliers and consultants, and maybe some students or college lecturers. So what I'm going to aim to do as we go through this presentation is to home in on those particular types of businesses so that you can go away with some things that you can implement tomorrow or later this week. Now what we're going to be doing is really just skimming the surface here today. Normally there are 7 things which I do. I'm Caroline Cooper and my business is Naturally Loyal. So everything I do is focused on building that customer or that guest loyalty. So I have 26 years in hospitality. I am author of the Hotel Success Handbook, which coincidentally I launched here at Bournemouth 3 years ago. And when I'm working with my clients, there are 7 areas which I consider to be the 7 essential ingredients for building that loyalty. The first of those is making sure that you love your customers, so having a good relationship with them. And one of the hotels that I'm currently working with, within about 5 minutes of talking to the owner there, I realised that actually the people that he was attracting back to his hotel, he was getting a lot of repeat business, but the people that were coming back weren't the people that he really resonated with, and he didn't love those people, so inevitably that showed. So that's one thing I have to get right. Secondly, it's about giving outstanding experiences, and a lot of what we're going to be talking about this afternoon is thinking about the experience that your guests get when they're with you. And we all know that average, mediocre isn't good enough. What is it that makes you really stand out? Also work with clients getting to the point where your customers are very happy to say yes to you selling them more stuff. So looking at increasing your spend per head. Also looking at ways to show your appreciation for your customers. If people are going to be loyal to you, they obviously need to feel that that their custom is appreciated. And then leveraging the lifetime value of your customers. This is a massive, massive area, and something that I think within the hospitality industry we could be doing so much more in this area, and we'll just touch on that this afternoon. Point number 6 is having a trusted team. You can't be there 24/7. So if you've got a day off or an afternoon off or even an hour out of your business, that you know whoever your customer gets served by, they are going to get the level of service and the same experience as if they were being dealt with by you, or that was going to be consistent across the piece. And finally, you say a lot about your business. So how much are you investing in you? That's great, everybody's here today, so that suggests that you are investing and you're keeping up to date. And of course that shows to your guests. They'll see when people are tired or fed up with their business, which I hope none of you are, but it is an important aspect. So today we are just going to be skimming the surface with just a couple of these areas. So what I'm aiming to do today is that you go away with at least 3 things that you can be doing that lead to great first impression with your customers to help to get that early engagement. And then 3 things that will give a great lasting impression with your customers so that you're then well on the way to building that loyalty and that repeat business. So I hope that that's okay with everybody, that we're going to just focus in total on 6 areas. Before we do that though, let's just think about why is it so important to be building any type of relationship with our customers? Well, if we think about it, if people are having a really good time and they feel comfortable there, they are going to spend more. So it increases our spend per head. But it also means they're far more likely to come back. So that's a bit of a no-brainer really. But it's so much easier to get repeat business from our existing customers who already know us, already like us, and hopefully trust us, than it is to be trying to attract new business. So that has a knock-on effect on our marketing costs, helps to keep our marketing costs contained. And the other thing is, it's so much more fun for us when we actually have a relationship with our customers and we've got that rapport with them. So it is very important that we build that relationship. So let's have a look then at how we go about doing this. And I'd just like to ask you, how many of you are familiar with Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Those of you familiar with it, habit number 2 is beginning with the end in mind. So let's just think about the end. What is it that we want our customers to be saying once they've left? So when they leave you, what do we want them to feel? What do we want them to be saying about us? And what do we want them to be doing? So what I'd like you to do is just find yourself somebody to pair up with, and I would like you to share just with the person sat next to you, what is it you would like your guests to feel when they leave you? What would you like them to be saying? What would you like them to be doing? Okay, so I'm guessing that you want people to feel relaxed, to feel satisfied, to feel that they had a really good time, that they've had some fun. You might be wanting them to be saying, oh, we ought to go back there again. You might be wanting to hear them say, oh, we must tell so-and-so about this. Haven't we had a great time? And what do you want them to be doing? Well, you might be wanting them to be spreading the word about you. You might be wanting them to pass on your details. You might be wanting them to post a raving review on TripAdvisor. And the more you have in your mind about what you want the outcome to be, the more likely that is to happen. So just take note of what you've said about what you want your guests to be doing, saying or feeling when they leave you. And you can then have that in mind throughout the experience that they have with you. So today's session is about first impressions and last impressions. And logic would say that I'd be starting with first impressions, but actually I'm going to start with last impressions, because they're the things that are actually going to lead to the feel, the say and the do. What are the last things that people go away with at the end of their visit to you or their experience with you? So the first of the 3 things I'd like to talk about with you in this regard is, what is that little touch of magic that you can add to make their experience with you really memorable? So what are those little wow moments that you can give them? And I'm not talking here about the whole of their duration with you, but what are those things that you might be able to give them at the end of their meal or the end of their stay that they'll go, oh, isn't that brilliant? So it might be based on something which is part of your signature. So for example, everyone's familiar with a signature dish in a restaurant. And if somebody says to you, oh, that was just fantastic, that dessert or that starter, what would it take just to write out the ingredients or the recipe for them to take away? It doesn't cost you anything. Or if you're a bed and breakfast and you make your own preserves, your homemade marmalade, and they say, oh, that marmalade's fantastic, what would it take just to give them a little jar to take away with them when they go home? Or it might be a little bit more spontaneous than that. It might be something that's led by the weather. A cafe where they give a little lolly when people go when it's a really hot day, or when it's a hotel or a bed and breakfast, when people are staying with you for a couple of days and they're going out somewhere they're going to be out in the bad weather for the day, making them up a little flask that they can take with them. I know of one hotel that I work with where if it's a frosty morning like we've had this week, they go out and scrape the windscreens. Now, wouldn't you remember that? So those are just things that help to make it memorable and add that little touch of magic. And those of you familiar with Kuoni, what they do is that they actually give their team wow budgets. So it's up to the individual. So allow your team, give your team that authority to make a decision on the spur of the moment. If they can see an opportunity to give a customer something that little bit special, allow them to do that, because they'll be the ones that have actually got that relationship with them. It's so much easier when you've got that relationship. Then we've talked about what we want people to do once they've left, but what is the very last thing that they hear, they see, they smell, they taste, or they feel? So as people leave, what do they hear staff saying? Is it, is it almost like, they're getting the Hoover out? What's the last thing they see? Do they see the bins? Do they see your staff outside having a cigarette? What's the last thing they smell? Again, coming back to the bins. What's the last thing they feel? Is it putting their foot in a puddle as they walk out? Now, hopefully it won't be any of those things. But I urge you just to have a look around you. And the classic restaurants, hotels, waiting to check out, waiting to part with your money, trying to grab the waiter or waitress's attention to pay your bill, waiting for your coat, waiting for your luggage. Any of those things, that's the last thing that they remember. And then thinking about how we show our appreciation. Now that might be in the moment, or it may be afterwards, or a little bit of both. So what's the follow-up after the event? How do we get feedback? And I've been involved in a bit of a discussion online via LinkedIn recently about getting feedback. And what I've heard a lot of people saying about getting feedback is, oh, it's so much easier having an online form. Now that's great for the system, that's great for us. But actually, from a customer's point of view, is that really what they want to do? And wouldn't you rather have feedback directly than getting some feedback via TripAdvisor after the event? Get that two-way engagement. I'm not suggesting here that we put our guests on the spot by giving them the third degree with loads and loads of questions. But it may be just a passing conversation, and train your team to ask open questions. So rather than it being, everything all right? And almost sort of, walking away, it's that we actually genuinely want to hear their responses, and that we're prepared that if somebody says, actually, that's not really quite right, it's that we're prepared to dig a little bit to find out what it is and what we can do to improve it, so that when people leave, we've got an opportunity to turn those things around. But then showing that we actually appreciate that feedback, we appreciate their custom. A sincere thank you as they leave. Following it up afterwards. How many of you actually say thank you with an email or a note afterwards? Now, a handwritten note, that may not be practical if you're a restaurant and you're going to be doing 100 covers a night. But if you are a small hotel and you only have 15 or 20 guests over the course of a week, wouldn't it be lovely, a little touch? When people get home, that there is a little note for them, some shape or form, saying thank you for your custom. You would definitely remember somewhere that did that. So those are 3 things that we can be doing to leave a great last impression, but will definitely increase loyalty and definitely help to build brand ambassadors for your business. That will definitely get people talking about you. So let's now take a step back to those first impressions. But before we do that, just thinking about what else people can be doing is just remember, out of sight is out of mind. So if you want to do more about what you can be doing afterwards, then I'd encourage you to download my 7 keys for staying on your customer's radar to tap into the easy business that's right under your nose, because we've just touched on this afternoon. There is lots more that we could be doing to stay front of mind for our guests, so that as and when they are ready to come back or rebook, or a friend says, oh, weren't you in Bournemouth a couple of weeks ago, can you recommend anywhere to stay or anywhere to eat, that you are the first person that they think of. Okay, so what can we be doing to get first impressions right? Well, first of all, find out what people are saying about you. What does it say? What message does it signal when people look at your website? Does it give that air of being friendly, of being welcoming? Have you got some customer or client guest testimonials on your website that show that you have got a good rapport with your guests? What are people saying about you on social media? Do people mention you on Twitter? Do people mention you on Facebook? Now, if you don't know what they're saying about you, you're not in a position to respond. But when people do talk about you or say something, get engaged in the conversation. Contribute to the conversation. And I don't mean here that if you see something that's derogatory that you get very defensive, but show that you're listening and that you're turning it around. Because if somebody picks up, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on TripAdvisor, wherever it is, a negative comment and there is no response, what signal does that send out? It implies that you don't care. Now, that may not really be the case, but that is what it implies. Equally, if somebody has taken the trouble to say something nice about you, maybe they're coming to see you, they have mentioned you on Twitter, they've mentioned you on Facebook, or any other platform for that matter, and they're talking about you, get engaged in the conversation. Now, how do you know that? Set up Google Alerts, set up notifications so that you know what people are saying about you out there. And for goodness sake, whenever you get any TripAdvisor reviews, whether they're positive or negative, make the effort to respond in a way that shows that you care, that you appreciate the positive comments, and that you're responding, whether you agree with them or not, that you're responding to the negative ones. What else can we be doing? We need to engage with our customers before they even arrive. So when they phone up or make an inquiry, what's the sort of conversation that goes on? Asking the right questions, finding out a little bit more about what they're looking for. Is this a special occasion? Do they have any particular requirements? Do they know what sort of time they're going to be checking in? Do they know how they're going to be getting there? Now, I know you don't want the nth degree, but just a couple of questions initially to start that engagement. And then when you follow up with your confirmation, you can then personalize that confirmation. How many of you do send some form of confirmation if they've booked with you directly rather than through a booking engine? So this is a great opportunity to personalize what goes out. And even if your own booking system doesn't allow that to happen, having some kind of a mailing system, or autoresponder, even if it's just a handwritten individual email that goes out to them, just to start that conversation going, confirming what they've booked, making it personal, making reference to what's going to be happening or the occasion that they've booked for. Then a little bit nearer the time is build that anticipation. I went out with some friends for lunch on Sunday, and we'd booked it some kind of time in advance. Beforehand, none of us could remember what time we'd booked. And in fact, when we looked at their website, it said they were closed on a Sunday, which was a little bit alarming. Now, they had got our reservation, but there was nothing from them. So there was nothing to entice us. And actually, when we got there were other things that we could have bought, but we didn't anticipate that, so we didn't make best use of it. So this use that as a little bit of a teaser, to anticipate, build that anticipation with them, something for them to look forward to. And what it also allows you to do is to add a little bit of value. Tell them what else there is to do in the area. If somebody's coming to stay with you for a couple of days, you don't want them sat in your lounge all the time. You want them to go out and enjoy themselves. If there's anything that they need to pre-order, if you've got particular dishes on which take a lot of preparation that they might want to reorder, if there are, if you know that they have to book for dinner, let them know those things beforehand. Maybe there are some traffic conditions that it would be useful for them to know about. So all of this is all helping to build that confidence from your guests beforehand. And then thinking about what's actually going to be that warm welcome that they're going to get. And that welcome actually doesn't start from the moment they walk in the front door. It starts from, how easy are you to find? Have you told them that there's traffic congestion somewhere that they're going to get caught up in, so that they're not arriving frazzled and late because they've got stuck in some traffic somewhere? How easy are you to find? Does your postcode actually match where the sat-nav takes them? What's the entrance to your car park like? Is it well lit? Is it easy to find? Can they find places to park? The hotel was out on Friday, really nice hotel. One of the team out in the car park, but car park was full. Now I ended up getting out of my car to go and ask him where else there was to park, in the rain, I hasten to add. Now, I'd driven straight past him. It would have been easy for him just to sort of signal, car park's full, there is a car park right next door. I didn't know that. Would have made that a massive difference to the welcome that I had. So in terms of what you need to be doing here is encourage your team to take the whole customer journey, not to be on autopilot when they drive in the morning, and look at everything that your customer will see. So taking everything from the guest perspective. What's it like coming in on public transport, coming in a taxi, driving into your car park, coming through the front door? All of those things will have an impact on the welcome that they then receive. So 3 things to engage with your potential or your new customer to build that relationship. Find out what people are saying about you beforehand, and make sure that they're positive things. If they're not positive, well, okay, we might not do anything about it, but show that you're responding to that. Engage with them early on to build their confidence. Start that conversation, even if it is online, with them before they even arrive. And then make sure that everything they see on their journey to you, right through to them being seated at their table or arriving in their room, gives them that really nice, warm welcome right the way through. So I promised you 3 things that you could be doing to create a good first impression, 3 things to help to build long-term loyalty with a last impression. So let's just recap on those. So 3 things for a first impression. Set up your Google Alerts and notifications on all of the different social media platforms. Get the conversation going before they arrive, online or offline, whether it's on the phone, email, or even in person if you are, for example, at a restaurant or it's an event booking. Take the whole of the customer journey, not from the point that they arrive at the front door, but from the moment that they actually are looking for your venue, parking, through the front door. Then look at what happens with that lasting impression. 3 things to consider. First of all, add that bit of glue, giving little unexpected extras. Surprise them. What's the very last thing that they see as they walk out of your door or drive out of your car park? Or the last thing that they hear? Review that. Keep an eye on what's happening. And then finally, follow up with a really heartfelt thank you. And whether that's in person when they're with you, or something that they get after they've left, or even something that they take away with them. Show that you appreciate their custom. So remember, out of sight is out of mind. So not only do you need to be doing things to engage with them before they arrive and that last impression, you then need to follow that up by staying on their customer's radar. So 7 keys for staying on their radar to tap into that easy follow-up business. Remember at the outset we were saying about leveraging that long-term value, and this will give you some tips on how to do all of that. So I'm Caroline Cooper. This has been First and Last Impressions Really Do Count. 6 simple ways to get more sales and repeat business at no extra cost to you. So 6 things that you could implement right away. I hope that's been useful for you. Caroline Cooper, Naturally Loyal. Thank you very much.